Well, whether it is or not, I mean, we're pros. We're all, we all have to do our job, and you got to just stick with the plan, and we don't, and this is what happens. So give up odd man rushes in the third. Never gave up one the whole game, and then we give up, I don't know, 2 or 3 that period. That's in our net a couple times, and then in the third period, it's just a commitment to doing things hard and blocking shots and things like that. And we didn't do it, and they scored.
Shock spread across the hockey world when Toronto's head coach finally spoke openly. The frustration inside the Maple Leafs locker room was no longer quiet. Cameras were on when Toronto's head coach spoke openly about his own team, and his words were direct and emotional. The message spread across hockey media within minutes. The head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Craig Berube, had broken his silence about the team's struggles. The moment came after a difficult night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The team had just lost 6-2 to the New York Rangers. Reporters gathered around head coach Craig Berube for the post-game press conference. The atmosphere was serious because the Maple Leafs had dropped several games during the stretch, and questions about performance were building.
You mentioned this has happened a few times this season. Are you frustrated at all with?
Definitely frustrated, pissed off. The games are right there, and we don't push as a team hard enough to win them.
Berube answered those questions with direct language. He told reporters, "I'm definitely frustrated and pissed off." The comment was reported by Maple Leafs Shot Stove during coverage of the team's losing streak. The statement quickly spread through hockey media because coaches often avoid using such blunt words about their own roster. Berube did not avoid the issue. He continued explaining what he saw during recent games. According to Berube, the Maple Leafs were not far away from winning many of those matches. The team showed strong play for large parts of the game. However, the coach said the final push was missing, and he explained this clearly during the same press conference. Berube told reporters, "The games are right there, but we don't push hard enough to win them." That quote became one of the most repeated lines from the media session. It reflected the coach's belief that effort late in games was the biggest problem. The loss to the Rangers showed the pattern he described. Toronto competed early in the game. The team created scoring chances and kept the score close, but the momentum changed later. The Rangers increased their pressure during the third period. They scored multiple goals and pulled away on the scoreboard. Berube pointed directly to that part of the game. He said the team wasn't ready to play the right way in the third period. His statement focused on how the Maple Leafs handled the final stage of the match. According to the coach, the structure and intensity dropped during those minutes. The comments from Craig Berube came during his first season leading the Toronto Maple Leafs. The organization hired him in May 2024 after searching for a coach with championship experience. Berube brought a strong reputation from his time with the St. Louis Blues. In 2019, he guided the Blues to victory in the Stanley Cup final. That title became the first Stanley Cup in the history of the Blues franchise. Because of that record, Toronto expected Berube to bring discipline and structure to the roster. The Maple Leafs already had high-profile talent. One of the most important players on the team is captain Austin Matthews. Matthews has been one of the NHL's top goal scorers in recent seasons. He won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 2022 as the league's most valuable player. As Captain Matthews carries responsibility inside the locker room and on the ice, the Maple Leafs front office is led by General Manager Brad Treliving. Treliving manages roster decisions and long-term planning for the team. His role includes building a lineup capable of competing for the Stanley Cup. When results fall below expectations, attention often turns toward the front office and coaching staff. During the press conference, Berube did not focus on individual players. Instead, he described the issue as a team-wide problem. His explanation centered on consistency. According to the coach, the Maple Leafs showed strong hockey during parts of the game, but failed to keep the same level of play through all 3 periods. Berube explained that the team sometimes lost momentum when something went wrong during a game. If the opponent scored, the Maple Leafs struggled to respond with the same energy. That situation allowed opposing teams to gain control of the pace. The Rangers game provided a clear example as New York increased its scoring during the final period. The Maple Leafs compete in the Atlantic Division of the NHL's Eastern Conference. The division includes teams such as the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Each season, the standings remain tight. Small stretches of wins or losses can quickly change a team's position. That context made Berube's message important inside the organization. His statements focused on correcting the details that decide close games. The coach repeated that many recent matches were within reach, but without stronger effort in the final minutes, the results continued to move in the wrong direction as the season progressed.
What's your sense of Austin and how he's handling this?
He's been fine. Obviously, he's not happy about things and losing teammates too in the situation that we're in. He's like everybody else. Nobody is happy with that. But like I said, we can't change that. We only can go forward here, and what we do on the ice is important, and how we play is important.
The pressure on Austin Matthews is reaching another level in Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs captain has been one of the NHL's most reliable scorers for years, and the team's recent struggles have placed him directly at the center of a growing controversy. Comments from management and reactions across hockey media have only increased the attention, and now the story around Matthews is taking another turn. The recent struggles of the Toronto Maple Leafs have pushed team captain Austin Matthews into the center of a growing discussion across NHL media. Toronto entered the season with high expectations after several strong offensive seasons led by Matthews. He previously recorded multiple 50-goal seasons and won the Rocket Richard Trophy as the league's top goal scorer. Because of those numbers, Matthews has remained one of the most visible players in the NHL. During the current stretch of games, Toronto lost several key matchups and slipped in the standings, and the drop in results increased pressure on both the coaching staff and the team's core players. As Captain Matthews became the primary focus of that attention, his scoring pace slowed compared to earlier parts of the season, and analysts began tracking his production during each game of the losing run. The situation drew direct comments from Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Brad Treliving. During an interview covered by Maple Leafs media outlets, Treliving addressed Matthews' performance and the broader team structure. Treliving said Austin is entering his prime, but the team needs to find ways to support. The statement shifted part of the conversation toward the roster around Matthews, rather than placing responsibility on the captain alone. Treliving's remarks also confirmed that the organization still views Matthews as a central player in Toronto's long-term plan. Matthews signed a major contract extension with the Maple Leafs, keeping him as the face of the franchise for the coming seasons. His role as captain places him at the front of both the team's offense and its public leadership during difficult periods. Matthews responded to the losing stretch during interviews following recent games, and he spoke about the team's need to regain momentum as the schedule continued. Matthews said the team must focus on effort and compete harder every night, and he also explained that players needed to control what we can control and keep pushing. Those comments reflected the message coming from the Leafs captain as the team attempted to recover points in the standings. As the losing stretch continued, the discussion around Austin Matthews moved beyond scoring numbers and into leadership. Matthews became captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs before the start of the current season, which placed him in the role of the main voice for the team during both wins and losses. That position carries responsibility inside the locker room and also in front of the media. During the recent slump, Matthews continued appearing in post-game interviews where questions focused on the team's performance and direction. At the same time, Toronto's position in the standings became another measurable part of the story. The Maple Leafs had entered the season expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division, but instead, the team dropped several games in a short span, which reduced their margin in the playoff race. Each loss increased pressure on the roster and coaching staff as the schedule moved forward. Brad Treliving addressed the situation again while discussing the team's overall performance. In the same coverage where he spoke about Matthews, Treliving said the situation hasn't worked right. His comment referred to the team's results during the losing run, and the general manager avoided blaming a single player and instead pointed to the broader structure of the roster and the need for better results across the lineup. While those remarks circulated through hockey media, another topic surrounding Matthews appeared in reports. A former Maple Leafs player criticized Matthews for using an iPad on the bench during games. The device is commonly used by players and coaches to review shifts and analyze plays during NHL games. However, the criticism gained attention after the former player described the habit by saying it was like an addiction, and the comment quickly spread across hockey discussion platforms. The reaction added another layer of attention around the Leafs captain during the same stretch of games. Matthews remained one of the most productive players on the roster, despite the team's results. His career statistics still place him among the league's leading goal scorers over the past several seasons, and because of that history, every game during the slump drew closer analysis of his shots, scoring chances, and time on ice. At the same time, the Maple Leafs faced issues across several parts of their lineup. Defensive breakdowns allowed opponents to score multiple goals in recent games, and offensive support from other lines also declined during the stretch. Those factors combined to create the results that pushed the team further down the standings. Inside the locker room, Matthews continued delivering the same message about effort and response, but with every loss added to the schedule, pressure surrounding the captain and the Maple Leafs organization continued to grow.
Why do you believe Craig is still the right coach for this team?
Well, like everything else, Luke, we all take responsibility for it, and I think Craig's a terrific coach. It hasn't worked, right? So when it doesn't work, we all share blame, and we all share responsibility in it, right? So it starts with myself, it's the coaches, it's the players.
Pressure is exploding around the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the team is suddenly under intense attention across the National Hockey League. A difficult losing streak pushed the organization into the spotlight, and criticism began spreading quickly across hockey media. Then, the general manager stepped forward and said something that surprised many reporters. Brad Treliving spoke openly about the struggles, the coach, and who should carry the blame. What he revealed about Craig Berube changed the conversation inside Toronto.
Listen, I'll answer all the questions and take responsibility for our season. I don't look at today as the autopsy day. We've got 19 games to go. But I think there's a whole host of reasons. I'll take responsibility. We met earlier in the year through about the 20 game mark where we got off to a slow start. And again, the failures here start with me.
The Toronto Maple Leafs entered the season with strong expectations, and the roster included Captain Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares. The organization expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division. Instead, the team fell into a difficult stretch that raised concern across the league. During that stretch, the Maple Leafs lost several games in a short period, and the team struggled with consistency on both offense and defense. Injuries also affected the lineup, which created even more problems for the coaching staff. Forward Austin Matthews missed games earlier in the season with a lower body injury, while William Nylander also missed time because of injury concerns. Defenseman Chris Tanev was ruled out for a significant period because of a groin injury. These absences created instability in the roster while the team was already trying to recover from losses. The situation placed heavy attention on the coaching staff. Craig Berube was in his second season as head coach of the Maple Leafs. Berube joined Toronto after previously coaching the St. Louis Blues, and in 2019, he led the Blues to the Stanley Cup Championship. His reputation in the National Hockey League is connected to physical hockey and very direct communication with players. As the losses continued, questions started appearing in media coverage about the future of the coaching staff. Reporters asked whether Toronto might consider another coaching change if the results did not improve. That question quickly became the main topic surrounding the team. General manager Brad Treliving addressed the issue during a media availability with reporters. He began by acknowledging the team's poor start to the season, and he accepted responsibility for the situation. Treliving told reporters, "We are not where we want to be or where we believed we would be, and we have underperformed, and I take responsibility." The statement immediately shifted attention toward management accountability, because in the National Hockey League, the general manager is responsible for building the roster and making major decisions about the coaching staff and player contracts. Treliving's comment placed part of the responsibility directly on the front office. Reporters then asked about head coach Craig Berube because speculation had started that the losing streak could put Berube's position at risk. Treliving responded by defending the head coach and explaining that the organization still believed in his leadership. Treliving told reporters Craig did not become a bad coach overnight. He also explained that solving the problem would require effort from the entire organization, including the players, the coaching staff, and management. Treliving said, "The way out of it for me is not pointing fingers, but digging in together, and I have all the faith in the world in him." Those remarks made it clear that management was not placing the blame on the coach alone. The message from the front office was direct, and the Maple Leafs would attempt to correct their performance as a group. However, the head coach did point to problems with execution during game. Berube explained that coaches can provide systems and instructions, but the players must supply intensity and competitiveness during each shift. His comments focused on what he believed the team needed to change immediately. Berube told reporters they have to bring the heart and competitiveness that is needed, and they have to bring that, and they have to want to bring that. The coach also explained that emotional speeches alone cannot fix performance problems on the ice, and he described the limits of coaching influence once a game begins. Berube said, "We can bring the X's and O's, and I can go in there and yell and scream at them all I want, but that does not do anything either." Those remarks highlighted clear frustration inside the coaching staff. According to Berube, the team was not playing the type of hockey required to win games in the National Hockey. The coach pointed to decision-making with the puck as one of the key problems during the losing stretch. Berube explained that the team needed to simplify its style of play, and he said the Maple Leafs were trying to make complicated plays instead of focusing on direct puck movement. That approach often led to turnovers and scoring chances for opposing teams. He told reporters, "Being simple and direct as a team, we are not doing it right now." The coach then described how those mistakes were affecting the team defensively, and when the Maple Leafs failed to move the puck safely out of their zone, opponents quickly turned those situations into attacks. Berube said, "It is coming back the other way on us, and it is going in our net." The situation created a difficult moment for the organization because the Maple Leafs remain one of the most closely followed teams in the National Hockey League. The franchise has not won the Stanley Cup since 1967, and because of that history, every losing streak quickly becomes a major topic across Canadian hockey media. At the same time, the team's roster includes some of the most recognized players in the league. Austin Matthews serves as the captain and remains one of the top goal scorers in the National Hockey League, while Mitch Marner and William Nylander also play major roles in the offense. When results fall short of expectations, attention often shifts toward leadership and performance inside the locker room. And while Brad Treliving publicly defended Craig Berube, the pressure surrounding the Toronto Toronto Maple Leafs continued to grow across the league. Vanessa P. Uno, the girlfriend of Austin Matthews, broke her silence only days after the Olympic final in Milan. The Instagram post showed Matthews celebrating his gold medal with her standing beside him. The caption was short, but the photos confirmed the relationship publicly for the first time. Within hours, the images were spreading across hockey coverage and social media. Austin Matthews entered the 2026 Winter Olympics as captain of Team USA. The tournament took place in Milan, Italy. The United States advanced through the competition and reached the gold medal game against Canada. The final game ended in overtime. Team USA defeated Canada 2-1 to win the Olympic title. The victory delivered the first Olympic gold medal for the United States men's hockey team in 46 years. Matthews played an important role during the tournament. He recorded 3 goals and 4 assists across the Olympic Games. His performance placed him among the leading contributors for Team USA during the event. Images from Milan showed Matthews celebrating the victory with teammates on the ice. The medal ceremony followed the final game. Matthews stood at center ice wearing the gold medal around his neck. At that moment, the story surrounding Matthews focused on the Olympic victory. But only a short time later, another development appeared online. Vanessa P. Uno posted photos on Instagram from Milan. The images showed Matthews standing beside her while still wearing the Olympic gold medal. The post included a short caption, "A month to remember forever." The photos confirmed something that had not been publicly discussed before. They showed Matthews and P. Uno together during the Olympic celebration. The images spread quickly across hockey coverage and social media platforms. Fans began sharing the photos soon after they appeared online. For many followers of the Maple Leafs captain, the post represented the first public confirmation of the relationship. And that is where the story connects back to the title. Because the moment fans describe as PU, no breaking silence, came directly from that Instagram post. Matthews had rarely spoken publicly about his personal life. Earlier reports had linked him to Emily Rutledge, a therapist based in California. However, Matthews had not publicly discussed that relationship in detail. Because of that history, the Milan photos stood out. They showed a personal moment that had not been visible before. The Olympic tournament had just ended. Team USA had just defeated Canada in the final, and Matthews had just stood on the ice holding a gold medal. Then the photos appeared online. They showed Matthews smiling while standing beside P. Uno during the celebration in Milan. The Olympic medal remained visible in several of the images. Fans quickly began reacting in the comment section of the post. Many congratulated Matthews for both the Olympic victory and the moment shared in the photo. The reaction spread quickly across sports media outlets. But there was another reason the moment gained attention. Matthews has built a reputation for keeping his personal life private. Throughout most of his NHL career, he has focused public attention on hockey. That approach made the Milan photos unusual. They showed a side of Matthews that had rarely appeared publicly before. And that brings the story back again to the title. Because the post from P. Uno acted as the first public confirmation of the relationship. The caption remained simple: "A month to remember forever." The message referred to the period surrounding the Olympic tournament. But the images also showed the celebration that followed the gold medal victory. At the same time, Matthews continued preparing to return to the NHL schedule. The Olympic tournament took place during a break in the NHL season. After the event ended, Matthews returned to Toronto to rejoin the Maple Leafs. The NHL schedule resumed soon after the Olympic Games concluded. Matthews entered the Olympic break as one of the leading offensive players on the Maple Leafs roster. During the 2025-2026 season, he recorded 26 goals and 25 assists in 55 games. Those numbers placed him among the team's top scorers. Earlier in January 2026, Matthews had also reached a major milestone with the franchise. He scored his 421st career goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That goal made him the all-time leader in goals for the organization. The previous record belonged to Mats Sundin. Matthews reached the milestone in 664 NHL games. The achievement strengthened his role as one of the most important players in the history of the franchise. Matthews also carries one of the largest contracts in the league. His deal with the Maple Leafs carries an annual value of $13.25 million and runs through the 2027-2028 NHL season. That contract reflects his position as the central player on the Toronto roster. Because of that role, events connected to Matthews often draw attention from fans and media. The Milan photos became one of those moments. They appeared during the same week as the Olympic victory. They showed Matthews standing beside P. Uno while celebrating the gold medal. And the caption attached to the photos remained short but clear: "A month to remember forever." The message stayed visible while fans continued sharing the images across social media. The photos captured two developments happening at the same time. One showed Matthews celebrating an Olympic championship with Team USA. The other revealed a personal relationship that had not been publicly confirmed before. Both events occurred within the same short period, and both became part of the story surrounding Austin Matthews during the 2026 hockey season.
Yeah, I thought we started better. I don't know. I mean, just kind of lost it there. Just really disconnected throughout all three zones, and just just bad, just fairly embarrassing, to be honest with you. It's just, not the way, we need to have more pride in our play, no matter where we're at, no matter what the situation is. We just have to have more pride in our game, and we didn't have that tonight.
Shockwaves hit the Toronto Maple Leafs locker room after a crushing 5-2 loss. Cameras were still rolling when the captain stepped forward and said words that no one expected to hear. Austin Matthews did not hold back. He called it fairly embarrassing. In that moment, everything shifted, and what he said next sent a stronger message